Alright, welcome back. This is a little video to show how I do my 3D tiles for my auto grid map I made for Godot. I'll add a link if you want to watch it, or a little card. So, we will need 27 different tiles. So here I've drawn them. It's like the Bitmask you draw in a 2D auto tile. The green here means the tile above must be set, and the blue means it's below. And then we have the naming of the tiles. So we have the L shape. It can be full or empty. Then we have the I. It's simply a little bar. Then we have if it's full or empty, which I call void. And the last one is the left or right, because some tiles need to be mirrored to get all the possibility. So we'll add a L or R at the end of the naming. So for example, here, this tile, we have a empty L, so LE, and for the blue, we have a L full. So this style would be called LELF. So let's go in Blender and start modeling those tiles. And I removed everything in the default scene. So first I'll create the basic flat tile. I'll add a new plane. So I'll do Shift A, I'll select Mesh and Plane. This time I'll do a 2x2x2 tile. Instead of being one square unit, it's going to be two. Then I'll go in edit mode, select the face and do G to move and Z to lock the Z axis and type 0.5, then enter. That's going to be the basic ground tile. Then I'll right click and subdivide, so I'll have smaller faces to add the texture on. I decided that each square unit will be a 32 by 32 pixel texture. Then I'll add a new material. I'll rename it to grass bricks. Then for the base color, I'll click the little dot next to it. I'll select image texture and click open. I'll select the small texture I made for this. I'll activate the viewport shading. The texture is blurry, so I'll change this option here from linear to closest. And then I'll change some settings here so I can see the texture a bit better. Okay, now I'll change to UV editing so I can place my texture correctly. I'll reactivate the viewport shading. I'll also activate the UV snapping in UV, snap to pixel and corner. So it's easier to place the UVs. And then I'll simply select each face and place them over the grass. And that's it. This tile is done. So for this one, it's void above and full under. So the name of the tile will be V_F. Perfect. Now for the side tile, I'll do a brick border. So I'll start by duplicating this one with Shift D. Then I'll hold Control to move it on the grid. I'll remove those two faces, select the edge and press E to extrude, Z to lock the axis, and 0.5, enter. I'll do the same for the other side, extrude X, 0.5, enter, extrude Z, 1, negative, and enter. Okay, so for that side here, I need to add a loop cut. So I have my squares. So I'll do Control R, then I'll right click to leave it in place. I'll instead select the vertices and change the snapping mode to vertex. Then I can do G to move, Z, and hold Control, aim at this vertex, and left click. Now I only need to place my texture correctly. So I'll select all the faces, I'll right click, I'll select UV unwrap faces, I'll select cube projection. With that I can simply place the faces on their correct texture. And for this tile, it has void above and it has a I shape below. So its name is going to be V_I. Okay, the next two tiles will be the corners, the inner and outer corner. So I'll duplicate those tiles twice. Then I'll do Shift S and I'll select cursor to selected. And then I'll do Shift A to add, and I'll add a empty plane axis. I'll rotate it with R, I'll lock it to the Z axis, and I'll type 45. Enter. Then I'll select my tile, I'll add a modifier, so here, add modifier, and I'll select mirror. Then for the mirror object, you can use the little icon here to pick the object in the scene, or you can just click in the field and select the object. So I'll click here, select the empty object, and then I'll click the bisect on the x-axis, and there you go. We have a nice little corner. So I'll apply the mirror modifier, then I'll move it away. So I'll do G to move, and then I'll do Shift Z to avoid moving in the Z axis, and hold Control and move it away. All right, so now for the next one, I'll bring it here. I'll add a mirror. I'll bisect on the X axis, select the empty object, and then I'll check also the flip on the X, and I'll get my inner corner. So pretty nice. Apply the modifier and move it away. So here I have the 4 starting tile, and now I can delete the empty object. So for the name, the outer corner will be void, and LE for L empty, and the other one will be V and LF for L full. Now to do the 4 next tile, it's going to be pretty easy. I'll just select all of them. I'll duplicate them. I'll press Z to lock the Z axis, and hold Control to move them down. And now I'm going to scale them. So S, and then I'll do -1, and then press Z to scale them only in the Z axis, and enter. So now they're flipped. I see that there's a gap in the middle, so I'll just extend the walls. And to do that, I'll select all the tiles. I'll go in edit mode, and I'll select all the edge I want to extend. Then I'll extrude the face, but I'll right click so I don't move them. After that, I'll do S to scale, and then I'll type 0. Now I can simply fix the texture on them. For the bottom texture, I need to flip them in the UV editor, so all the bricks matches. Now we need to check for the normal of the meshes. So if you go here at the top, there's show overlay, just a little arrow next to it. If you click it, there's a checkbox for face orientation. You can check that. And if it's blue, that means that the face is pointing in the correct direction. But here I forgot that I need to apply the scale. So I'll select all of them. I'll select all the faces in edit mode. And I'll go at the top here, mesh, normals, and flip. And there you go. Now they're correct. And now for the bottom tiles, those faces are going to be the ceiling. So I'm going to change them. I'm going to disconnect them from their meshes. So I'll press Y, J, Z, and I'll move them manually. Then I'll change their texture to the big stone tile. All right, pretty good. So those tiles are done. I'll rename them. So the first one here, it's going to be the reverse. So instead of being VF, it's going to be full and void. Then we have LF and V. Then we have I and V. LE_V. And there we go. So then we'll do the walls, the in-between. So I'll move those tiles up. I'll duplicate them. And I'll move them down. I'll go in edit mode. I'll select all the faces I don't need anymore, and I'll just delete them. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You just need to make sure that the edge match your tiles if you have any differences. So I'll name those tiles. This one will be LELE, and we have II, and we have LFLF. And then I'll add a bevel to this wall, so I'll select all the edges, and then I'll do Control B, and let's just bevel that about there. That looks pretty good. Now I'll need to fix a few things. Here I'll do K to cut, and I'll cut that like this. And I'll fix this tile. Then I'll fix the texture for those sides. I'm just gonna have to find the correct rotation and placement so it all match correctly. And then I'll also have to fix the bottom corner that also have a little problem. All right, and that's pretty good. Then the next tiles, if you have a wall piece and you want to extrude a platform from it. So if you have this wall and it's coming out from the wall. So I'll select this tile, I'll duplicate it to the side, I'll bring a wall piece on it. And for this one, I'll use the Boolean modifier. So yeah, I'll try it on this one. Boolean, select the walls, and union. Looks pretty good, so I'll apply that. Then I can move the wall down for the next tile after. And if I select this one, looks pretty good, so I'll name it. The top part is a I, and the bottom part is a LF. It's a full L. And this one is also the left tile, because there's going to be another tile next to it, since this tile mirrored is different. Now for the bottom one, duplicate this tile, bring it there, and yeah, I'll do the same. Boolean, I'll pick the wall, And let's see, union. All right, let's try that. Apply. I'll move the wall. And okay, let's delete those faces. For this one, we have a bit of cleaning to do, but it's pretty good. We have those little triangle there, so let's just delete them. And what I'll do is I'll select the vertices. I'll press G twice and move it on top of the other one. Then I'll select all vertices. I'll press M and I'll do merge by distance. Then I'll do the same with the next one. Select it, press G twice, move it down. All right, select all and merge. All right, so pretty good. I'll delete the wall and I'll select those two tiles. I'll duplicate, move them right there. And now I'll do like I did before. I'll scale with S, then I'll select Y and -1. There you go. So we have the two next tile done. So now I'll need to apply the scale with Control A, and then I'll go in edit mode. I'll select all the faces. I'll go in mesh, normals, and flip. So if I check my face orientation, they're correct, they're blue. But now I see that those have a deeper blue, so I think they might have a problem if I select one and delete it with X and face. Yeah, I think the Boolean left two faces, so I'll delete one. And the same on the next one, edit, select the faces and remove them. All right, and remove the face orientation. All right, so now for the name, this one at the bottom is gonna be LF and I. And this is the left one, so L. And then this top one is gonna be the same, but the last part is gonna be right. And this bottom part is LF, I, and right, so R. So for the next set of tiles, I'll need pretty much the same tiles, except that the wall will be rotated 90 degrees. So if I pick a wall, duplicate it, bring it there, and rotate it on the z-axis, 90 degree, negative. All right, so that's gonna be what we need. So I'll duplicate the tile, I'll bring the wall there. Let's rename this one for LE, I, and R. Then I'll try another way to merge those. So I'll join them together. I'll select the wall first, then my edge tile. I'll go in object and join. Then I'll go in edit mode and I'll delete all the faces I don't need. Now I'll do some loop cuts. This one is pretty good. It's right in the middle. And then for the next one, I'll place it approximately. If I double tap G, I can move them along the edge. I'll place them approximately and snap them to the vertices. All right, then I can delete this face. Then I'll need to fix this little gap. So I'll select the two vertices at the top. I'll do F to bridge them. And after that, I'll select all the edges and do F to fill it. Then just to be sure, I'll select all the vertices. I'll do M to merge and by distance. So everything will be connected. I'll fix the texture. For this one, I just need to find the correct position. And then I need to test this side, this corner, with my other corner tile. So I'll duplicate my corner tile here. I'll bring it on top. Here, this corner doesn't match. So I'll add a loop cut there. I'll align it correctly. Then I'll simply dissolve this vertices. So right click and dissolve vertices. Then I'll use the cut tool with K and cut from this vertices to this one and enter. All right, so that looks pretty nice. Then I'll duplicate my bottom tile, bring it there. Let's remove those faces. And for this one, instead of using the wall directly, I'll duplicate my top tile, flip it. Let's remove those faces and I'll move it down. All right, then I'll join the two tile. So I'll do object and join. Then I'll select all the vertices and merge them by distance. Then I need to flip the texture on the side, just rotate them 180 degree. So if I bring my corner down, I'll need to check if everything matched. And yeah, perfect. Then I'll duplicate those tile. I'll flip it on the y-axis -1. Then I'll need to fix the normal orientation. If I look at them, yeah. Since I only duplicated a part of it, I'll need to select manually the faces. So those one. And then I'll select my mesh and normal flip. All right, perfect. So yeah, I'll save my file just in case I don't want to lose them. Grass brick tile. All right, save. So now let's name them. This one is going to be I-L-E-L. Next one, I-L-E-R. Then here, this one is L-E_IR. Okay, so the next two tiles, I'll start with those two. I'll duplicate them, move them there. It's gonna be this one they're also gonna come out from the side wall. So basically, if I duplicate those one, rotate them on the z-axis 90 degree, negative, then this is what we're looking for. So let's try the Boolean modifier. I'll select my other tile, and let's see, bisect union. But yeah, when I think about it, I don't really need to do the Boolean. I can simply delete the face I don't need and merge them. So let's undo the Boolean. I'll select the faces on this tile that I don't need. I'll delete them. And I'll do the same for the other one. And that's pretty much it. So I'll just have to merge them. But here I see that the inner corner is not correct because it needs to have a little bevel to match the inner corner. So if I go and pick the inner corner, bring it here, I'll move those up, and here you go. The corner here doesn't match, so let's merge these. Object join. I'll rename this one. This is going to be LENLF. Then I'll go in edit mode, select all the vertices, merge them by distance. I'll select the edges and then Control B, and I'll go approximately, and I'll select the vertices. I'll activate the snap to vertex and just move and hold Control and snap it there. Pretty good. I'll do the same for those. All right, here I'll double tap the G and move the vertices up, and I'll merge them. All right, so this tile looks pretty good. And if I bring my outer corner on top, it should match. So yeah, perfect. For the bottom tile, I'll just duplicate the top one and scale it on the z-axis -1. It's going to be a bit faster. Then I'll select the grass faces. I'll press Y to disconnect them, and then I'll move on the z-axis and snap them to the vertices of the neighboring one, so the ceiling is at the same level. And I'll change the texture, and that's pretty good. So this one is LFLE, and then I need to apply the scale, and I'll apply the rotation also. All right, now I can delete the two corner I have here and move this one back down. So now for the next two tiles, also gonna be pretty much the same, but it's gonna be flat at the bottom. So what I can do is simply select all the corner pieces here and the edge and remove all those faces. And then for this one, what I'll do is I'll select this edge and extrude out, and this one too, and I'll snap it to the side there. Let's do a loop cut there. I'll remove this face. All right, and then I can pick this corner piece and try to steal its bottom brick. So duplicate the corner, bring it here. And now if I go in edit mode, I can select those faces because that's the brick I need. I'll press Y to detach it. I'll right click on it. I'll go here, separate by selection. I'll move it down there, and yeah, I'll need to fill this little corner, but pretty good. Oh, and before merging it, I'll duplicate it for the bottom tile too. Then I'll go in edit mode and I'll do some cut here and I'll fill this little corner. And let's fix the texture for the grass. Then I'll rename the tile. This is gonna be LE full, so F. For the bottom tile now, oh, I forgot to delete those little corner. Let's merge them. Then I'll need to extrude my ceiling. All right, let's merge all the vertices. And then I'll do my loop cut and snap them at the correct place. And then I'll do my little triangle. All right, then I'll just need to place the texture and we're good. Yep, perfect. So this tile will be F and LE. All right, so now we only have 4 tiles remaining. The next 2 tiles, I can simply duplicate those one, and it's gonna be the bottom edge. Since the tile I made are pretty simple, I'll just delete those faces and duplicate those 2 faces and move them next to it. So then I'll do the same for the bottom tile. Select all of them, delete, then duplicate. Then if I select all the vertices, and I'll merge by distance. All right, this one is done. Now for the name, this top one is gonna be I, then full, and this one is full, then I, the reverse. All right, so let's duplicate those, move them across. And this one I can use the same trick that I used at the beginning to do the corner. I'll do Shift S, cursor to selected, Shift A, empty, plane axis, select it, rotate, in the Z-axis, 45 degree. Enter, select the tile, mirror, select the empty object, and bisect on X, and flip it on X. So we have the inner corner bottom part, and apply the transform, and there we go. So let's do the same for the bottom one. mirror, select the empty, bisect, flip, apply. And now we can delete this empty object. I can do Shift S and move it back to the world origin. And there we go. Now there's only one thing left to fix, and it's the corner of the last tile. If I bring a inner corner, put it on top there, I'll bring the bottom tile on top, and yeah, I'll just need to bevel those one. So I'll do that approximately. Then I'll snap those to the vertices. Then I'll do the same for the bottom tile. Then I can delete the corner and place my corner back. All right, so that should be all the tiles. Let's just see if my face orientation are correct. Yeah, those one I need to fix, so I'll select all the red faces. And then I'll do mesh, normals, flip. Oh, I forgot one. All right, and there's one there. So they all seem pretty good. Now I'll just need to rename my last tiles. This top one is gonna be LF and F. The bottom one is FLF. Now before exporting them, if you add a hyphen COL for collision at the end of the name of your tiles, Godot will by default import a collision instead of having to do it manually for each tile in Godot. So I'll add this little col on each of them. All right, now we can try to test our new tile set in Godot. So I'll select all the tiles. I'll go in File, Export. I'll select the GLTF2. Then I'll select Remember Export Settings, and I'll include the selected objects. And this time I'll keep everything by default, even the material. We'll change it in Godot. And then Export. All right, so now let's go in Godot. All right, what I'll do is I'll import my tiles. So I have my GLB file, drag it in. Then I'll create a new scene. I'll make it a 3D scene. Then I'll select my grass brick tiles GLB, bring that in. I'll select it. I'll do transform, reset that, and I'll right click it and make local. So there we have our nice tiles that we just made. Then the texture is blurry again. So to fix that, I'll import the texture itself. I'll double click that one. I'll go in import and I'll select the preset 2D pixel and re-import. Then I'll select the material. I'll go in albedo and I'll overwrite this one with my bricks. And there you go. That's pretty nice. The collision has been imported automatically and the little hyphen col has been removed. That's pretty cool. Then I'll right click the grass brick tiles. I'll do make scene root and I'll delete the spatial node. Now I can simply do scene, convert to mesh library. So I'll add that to tile set and I'll do grass brick and save. All right. Now if I go back in my other scene where I have my auto grid map, I'll add a new one, add a child node, auto grid map. Then for the mesh library, I'll add my new one, tile set, grass brick TRES, place that there. And for the mesh library of the grid map, it's going to be the empty, the point mesh lib. So I'll put that one here. And then I'll simply click the refresh button. So now I can select my mesh instance and I should be able to start drawing. Now there's one thing, the size of the cell is not going to be correct. So I need to go back here in cell. And this one is going to be 4 by 4 by 4. And the subgrid map that has been created, this one will need to go in here and go in cell. And this one is going to be 2 by 2 by 2. Now if I do shift, select everything, I can do grid map and clear selection. Well, I'll do that on the main one. Select everything, grid map, clear selection. All right, now I can start drawing. And now it's going to draw the correct tiles. And if I move up, try that. So then, yeah, here you can try to play around, try to see if all the tiles that you've made connect correctly. And yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll include those tiles also in the project now. And I'll also add the Blender folder so you can go in and edit the tiles or use them to know what are the 27 tiles that you need. So it's going to be like a template. Alright, so now I'll show you a few little tips and tricks for those tiles. First is you could do some cube tiles and you would need to do less of them. Instead of doing 27 tiles, you only need 14 because some of the tile will be completely hidden inside the structure and will simply be transparent. But like these one, this is the flat one, the floor, and this one would be the inner corner. And you can imagine this one as if you would have a super thin side here. So if I select this vertices, move it down pretty much like that. So you have just one tiny side, but it's not going to be visible. So we don't need to place it there, but we still need this tile to be here. And yeah, that's pretty cool. So if you want to have some cube tiles, you can still have variation in your tiles if you want to. If you don't want them to be flat completely, you could still add some cuts and move around some of the pieces, but the sides needs to match the other tiles. And that goes with the next tip I have. If you want to test your tile or edit some of the sides, what you can do is duplicate the tile with Alt D, and then this is going to be a copy, but it's going to be linked with the parent. So if I keep this one here, I'll copy it again with Alt D and then rotate it. So if I wanted to test the side of this one, I could go in edit mode, and then if I modify it, then it's going to modify all the linked copy. The only problem with that is if you want to apply the scale or anything, if I do Control A and try to apply the scale, then you can't. So you'll have to remove your copy, and then you would be able to apply the scale. All right, so let me show you how this tile set looks in Godot. There we go. This is the little square tiles that I just made. And yeah, you can draw like the other tile too. And one other thing you could do also is instead of doing the tiles as a block like that you see from outside, you could invert the faces so they point inside. So you could, instead of drawing the exterior or the all of your mesh like that, you could instead draw the corridors or the rooms for your games with this. So this could be a room, and then I could go inside, and that could be a dungeon, probably. Instead of drawing, the exterior, you could draw the interior. Alright, so yeah, that's pretty much it for this tutorial. I hope you liked it, and yeah, if you have any suggestion for something that you'd like to learn, let me know. And yeah, thanks a lot, and a big thank you to my patrons. And yeah, I'll see you next time, I guess. Bye bye.